Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly and welcome to a slightly wet and windy West Hill Golf Club, where today we're reviewing TaylorMade's M6 driver. And here it is. This is new for 2019 and comes into the range to replace the previous generation M4. If you're familiar with TaylorMade drivers of the past, you'll know their M family. Every year they introduce two new drivers, one with movable weights and one without. This is the non-movable weight version. So if you are looking for something to dial in your spin rate and your shot shape, then TaylorMade would lean you towards the M5. If you're not, then the M6 should offer that little bit more forgiveness for you. And this comes into the range, as I said, to replace last year's M4. Here they are next to each other, guys. Please do hit the pause button and let me know what you think of the looks of the new M6 driver. Here it is in the address view here. We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail and talk about the technology too much, other than to say what TaylorMade are trying to do with their new generation drivers is to get every driver they produce as close as possible to that COR limit that the RNA and USGA introduced on the sort of spring-like effect of the face. So effectively what they're saying is this is closer to that limit, so every driver should be able to deliver a little bit more ball speed. In addition to that, with the M6, what you've also got is a 46-gram weight in the back of the head that's been pushed lower and deeper, and this also has a carbon fibre sole. Those two things combined together should increase that overall forgiveness. Now, I tested the M6 driver yesterday up against the M4 at the Foresight Sports headquarters in Guildford, using the GC Quad Launch monitor. We were using Titleist Pro V1 golf balls, and I had an Aldila Rogue X-Flex shaft in both drivers. The only slight difference was that the M6 for me was launching a little bit too high, so I dialed the loft down a fraction. So this one is lofted at 9 degrees, whereas the M4 was lofted at 9.5 degrees. So that's the only difference between the two drivers. One thing about the data before we get into it is that we take out any shots that are missing the centre line by more than 25 yards. So that's a bit of a wayward drive. We take out any really wayward drives, and we also take out any extreme mishits. Now, I appreciate there is a lot to be said for how a driver performs on extreme mishits, but for the purposes of this test, when we're looking at the data in close detail, it can skew the numbers a bit. So obviously when you hit the ball out of the extreme toe or heel, you get a drop off in ball speed, a drop off in total distance. And if you have more mishits with one driver than another, then that is going to skew the overall numbers in a way that's slightly unfair. So we take out anything that's really badly hit. Other than that, everything else stays in there. Right, let's have a look at the data, starting with the M4. Okay, so what you're looking at here are the average numbers I was able to achieve yesterday using the M4 driver. So ball speed of 161 miles an hour, very good. Launching very high at 14.8. Now that's a little bit higher than any other driver I've been testing recently, but it was spinning quite low. It's spinning at 1890, which meant that the overall ball flight was fantastic. Really strong ball flight, 38-yard peak height is really good for me. When you put all of those numbers into the computer, it was spitting out an average carry distance of 291 yards. That is fantastic performance from the M4. When I first tested this driver at the beginning of 2018, it delivered numbers that were virtually the same as the ones I was able to get yesterday. And you know, there's no two ways about it. For me, for my game, those numbers are absolutely superb. So can the M6 beat it? Well, here's what happened. So the ball speed did jump up. The ball speed went up by 2 miles an hour to 163.8 miles an hour. It was launching a little bit lower. Okay, I lofted it down. So it was launching at 13.7 degrees, but it was spinning a little bit more at 2189. So the overall peak height was a little bit higher at 39 yards. When you put all of that into the computer, it was spitting out a total carry distance of, yes, that's right, 291 yards. Exactly the same performance that I was able to get with the M4 from 2018. Now, there are a couple of things I want to pull out from the data, starting with that increase in ball speed. Now, you'll notice that the increase in ball speed has come from a club head speed that was exactly the same between the M4 and the M6. So it goes to show that the work that the engineers have done to try and help deliver more speed, it has delivered more speed for me in the M6. 2 miles an hour, that's not a small amount. And I have a feeling that if I went through a sort of a very full and thorough custom fitting, tried a few different shaft options, I might just be able to get a little bit more performance out of the M6. Not a huge amount, but I might be able to get a gain of a few yards possibly in terms of distance. The other thing to say is that I do prefer the look of the M6. So they've got more of a sort of a matte crown look down behind the ball address, and the silver part isn't quite so wide. It's a very small difference between what they had out last year, but it's a sort of an incremental improvement, I would say. And I think the M6 looks better than the M4. And for me, it definitely sounds better. So I'm going to put two of my hits side by side for you to listen to. The M4 is definitely a higher pitched impact sound. The M6 for me is duller and is more powerful, and I preferred that. And all of that means that for me, the M6 just edges it. It does feel slightly better, it looks slightly better, and the performance for me was virtually the same, albeit I think I could get a couple more yards possibly out of the M6 versus the M4. Guys, thank you very much for watching. What do you think? What do you think of the new TaylorMade M6? We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. But for now, from West Hill, it's goodbye.